Welcome to the CEC TV studios, Dixie State University. Excited to continue our season previews, and right now let's get into cross country. Fall season is ready to go, and first we start with the women, and then we'll talk with the men in a little bit. But let's start with Coach Decker, who coaches both the women and the men's team, and let's talk about these ladies. Coach, give us a little recap of the spring. Talk about how fall training's going so far and your expectations for the upcoming season.
Yeah, so spring track season went really well. Obviously, last year was pretty crazy with for everybody, all aspects of life. But our cross country season last year got pushed back to January, February. So jumped straight from cross country into the outdoor track season last year, which was a little different than our normal year. But you know, we had a great spring season, I think. These three on my left were pretty much our leaders in the spring and last season. Callie and Kirsten both got to go compete at the WAC championship down in Southern Texas, 5K, 10K, and as freshmen, so you know they did really well for freshman year to get to that experience to go compete at the conference championship like that, and now we're relying on them as, you know, having the experience now as some of our leaders. But yeah, for fall cross country season, so much depends on how well you did in the spring, and you know, it all carries over from your spring season, and then carrying that through training hard over the summer. So we're just a couple days into it right now, where our first real workouts tonight. So haven't really seen too much yet of where everybody's at, but I can tell with the group we have, you know, they worked hard during the summer, and we're going to be ready to go. And first meet coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, September 3rd, Utah Valley Invitational. Only 5 meets, so you got to take advantage of each and every one. What's the expectations? What's the goals going to be for this year's team?
Yeah, so the whole season cross country is kind of built around the one race at the end, the big race at the end. For us right now, we can't go to compete at a region or a national championship yet, so it's all about that conference championship, where the four races leading up to that are kind of preparing our team, so we'll be in peak shape and 100% ready to run at our best at that conference championship. So yeah, we do have, you know, we're racing against some really good competition. Go start out at Utah Valley, who's top of the conference, who we're kind of chasing after. Then BYU, who's in the last 2 years, both their men and women have been D1 national champions. So it doesn't get any better than that in the whole country. And then, you know, SUU's always up there, ranked pretty high too in the nation. And then the last one, Riverside, will be a preview of our conference course right before going back there 2 weeks later. But yeah, that's kind of how the schedule's laid out. And yeah, again, it's just all preparing for that October 30th WAC championship to be at our best for that meet.
We'll circle back to Coach Decker in just a second, but let's meet the cross-country stars that are here representing the rest of the team. We've got Madison Flippins, a junior, freshman Callie Richardson, and Kirsten Williams. Even though they're back, they're still technically getting the COVID year, so that's how we list them there. But Madison, let's start with you. I mean, was it the 6K at the WAC Conference Championship? You were second team all WAC with a 14th place finish, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
How do you build upon that? That was a really good race for you.
It's hard to build upon that right now because I'm coming off an injury from spring that's kind of continued to linger, but it's kind of fun going into cross country season, know that I was able to place high up into the all conference, so really looking forward, hoping to do that again.
You just heard Coach talk about, hey, building up to that one race. You think you'll be fully healthy here in the next few weeks?
I'm sure hoping so. I think so. We're on the right track.
Callie, what's the off season been like for you, getting ready for the upcoming season?
It's been good. Lots of running, lots of hard work, but it's been good. I have been happy to take a little bit of a break over the summer, but not too much of a break.
Where do you like to train at? I mean, is there a run you like to do? You got a route around town that you like to take on?
Yeah, so normally down here, I like to run up Fort Master, that hill, but up north I've been running in American Fork, so it's been nice.
A little altitude up there.
Yeah.
Kirsten, how about you? How's the summer training been going?
It's been good. put a lot of miles in.
What's a lot? Like, do you keep track?
I got up to like some 50-mile weeks. Been training with some older women that have kind of helped me keep me on track. And then I ran a half marathon about 2 weeks ago, and that was really good. Kind of helped put into perspective where I could be this season.
Coach, you like to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Talk about these three. Talk about what makes them different, but an integral part of the team.
Yeah, I mean, so much in distance running is just the work ethic. It's not that easy to, especially here in the summer where it's over 100 degrees every day. Like to get good running in, you got to wake up early, 5:30 wake up calls to go out and run. So, that's not the easiest thing to do. Be consistent, waking up at 5:30 every morning to go on an 8-mile run. Like most people hear that and like, why would you ever choose to do that? But to be successful in this sport, that's what it takes. So all these runners, very strong work ethic, very motivated and willing to put in the work that it takes. We have Maddie ran for a couple of years at College of Southern Idaho and was very successful up there in the junior college ranks, and was our leader last year. So she's a couple of years more experience, and both Callie and Kirsten freshmen last year. So like you mentioned, still listed as freshmen, but they're experienced freshmen now, where if you look at our roster, it does look very young with lots of freshmen, but half those freshmen would typically be sophomores at this point, but get that year back, so still less as freshmen. And Maddie listed as a junior, but typically would be our senior. So our roster is a little bit more experienced than it might look on paper.
Madison, talk about the team atmosphere in cross country. You're out there, you're running your race, but you guys got that team camaraderie too, right? How is that different from any other team sports?
Sounds crazy, but during runs, you just have so much fun. Like, you talk to the team the whole time. You make a run go by faster by talking the whole time. It's just, they become your second family. Just an 8-mile run, you get closer in that hour of time.
Callie, what's the most exciting part about being here at Dixie State on the cross country team?
Oh, that's hard. I love racing, but like what she said, practice is so fun. Being like with the team and everyone and all the time, it's just, we get so close and you spend so many hours together. You're like just all such good friends. So that's probably the best part.
Kirsten, you probably got individual goals, but as you guys get going, do you guys have some team goals as well?
Yeah, Coach was talking to us about some team goals. Last year we placed 5th at conference, and he thinks that we want to place that high again, even though we added some more teams. So one of our team goals is just to keep in the top 5 being at conference.
Maddie, is there a race that you're looking forward to, in particular, out of the 5 this fall?
Conference, for sure.
And that was a good, is it the same venue this year, or has that changed?
I believe it's in California this year. Last time it was in Seattle.
Gotcha. What about for you?
I'm excited to race the BYU course. I actually don't think I've ever done it, and that's it's the same one we do through high school and everything, and I've never done it, so I'm excited to do it. So.
Should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, other than conference, which one's going to have the strongest field? Do you know at this point in time? Or?
Well, the biggest one would be the UC Riverside meet, where the most teams would be at. So numbers-wise, probably that one. But like I mentioned, BYU, doesn't get any stronger competition than the defending national champ. So they're definitely going to be running against some fast runners there.
How deep is your team? We got these 3 student athletes with us here today, but tell us about some of your other runners and how they fit into the equation this fall.
Yeah, that's probably one of the big strengths of our team this year. In the past, the story's kind of been we've had like one standout runner through our D2 years. I think we had a couple All-Americans on the women team, but then there'd be kind of a big gap after that top runner. This year, we're numbers-wise 15 on the women's team, but if you're going all the way down through the roster, it's stronger than it's ever been. We might not have that All-American like we had in the past, but what makes a strong and successful cross-country team is a good group, because you're only as good as your fifth scoring runner. So I think our number 5 runner this year will be probably stronger than we've ever had in any year before. So yeah, real happy with the depth of the team. We have, in addition to these 3, a couple other strong returners, and then a group of, I think, 6 newcomers for the women that are all, probably all 6 of them would have been on our top 7 group last year. So yeah, I'm still, we haven't done any workouts yet, so still anxious to see kind of where everybody's going to be at as we get going. But with that depth and the numbers we have, I'm definitely excited to see.
So how will you set who travels? Is it just based on, hey, that day's qualifying, you guys give me 8 miles and the top runners go, or how do you do that?
That's where my job as a coach is a little bit easier than most sports, where it's probably more of a judgment call. Cross country or track, it's like, that's what your time is. You ran a race, and it's clear to say who your top 7 runners are. So most of our meets, we'll run everybody. So the 13 on the team, when we go to UVU or BYU, everybody that's healthy will race that's on the roster. And then it's by conference, we have to narrow it down to 8 or 9 runners. The races leading up to that, whoever our fastest 8 or 9 will be are the ones that will be racing the conference.
I expect these 3 will probably be in the mix all season long. Maddie, Callie, Kirsten, have fun out there, and you can always run to DixieStateAthletics.com to keep up on the schedule and how they do in all these races. And Coach, thanks for stopping by. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah.
Women's cross country, not done yet. We'll take a timeout. We'll have our season preview of the men's team right after this.
Today's show is brought to you by the Dixie State Campus Store, the official source for DSU Trailblazer clothing, providing students with textbooks, as well as educational, office, and art supplies. Located on the 2nd floor of the Gardner Center, the Dixie State Campus Store, proud sponsor of Trailblazer Weekly.
Welcome back, CEC TV Studios. We continue our cross-country season preview and talking with Coach Decker, who coaches both the men's and women's team. But we've got some of the Trailblazer runners from the men's team with us here. Kevin Kirk, a junior, Brian Schultz, also a junior, and Callan Webster, who is a sophomore. And Coach, let's start with you and kind of recap the spring and give us an overall preview for the team this fall.
Yeah, so coming off the spring, for our men, it's a little bit different, where we don't have an official men's track team here like we do for the women.
Right.
So it really says a lot about the men we have, the work they still put in during the spring. We are able to take them to some track meets and still race in the spring, but they can't go and run at the conference championship in track like the women do. So it is a little bit more difficult for them, but the group we have, that doesn't slow them down at all. They were still stayed fully motivated, working hard throughout the whole spring. So the meets we did go to, run with them in the spring, we still kind of, even though they're not official like school records for men's track, we still keep our team records for those track distances, and I think pretty much every team record we had, these guys broke this past spring. So really strong spring for them, and yeah, that's going to carry over to this fall. I know they've been working hard and ready for the start of this season.
How big is this team, and how many returners do you have?
So we have 13 men on the team, and 10 of them are returners. I would say probably our top 10 men from last year are all back, which is a huge deal for us. Way better than any other year in our past, maybe in years past. We were lucky if we had like 4 or 5 of our top guys back the following season, but this year returning, we probably had one of our strongest men's teams ever last year, and partly due to everybody getting the COVID year back, everybody was able to return. So our top 10 guys, all from last year, are back, and then we added three newcomers that are all pretty strong too. So a lot of experience on the team. You mentioned junior, sophomore, but again, typically it'd be senior, junior with the experience they have. They just get that extra year because of all that happened last year. So really experienced group. These leaders are all really experienced, knowledgeable, and good leaders for the team. So we're excited with the group we have.
5th place in the conference last year, right?
Yeah.
The conference is bigger this year.
Yeah, so I added 4 new teams. So last year, 5th out of 9 teams, and 13 teams in the conference this year. But I think we still have a pretty good chance of being right up there in the top 5.
Let's bring in some of the athletes here representing the men's cross country team. And Kevin, let's start for you. I was hearing Coach talk about some of the records you guys have set. Is there one in particular that you're really proud of?
I'd say probably my 800 record. That one was coming off of a pretty busy weekend up at Utah. That was almost a PR, not quite a PR, but I ran faster in high school. Or I'd say Brian's unofficial 5K record that he set at BYU. That one's pretty impressive too. He ran 15:30 for 5K, so yeah.
Brian, tell me about that.
It's an unofficial school record. I ran unattached at a BYU meet and ran about a second faster than Callan has, but I didn't do it wearing a Dixie jersey, so I think Callan still has the record.
I see. All right.
And that distance in the 5K, that was kind of our training was focused for that distance in track in the spring for all of our guys. And I think all 3 of these guys, like every meet, were like beating each other's records by like a second. So all 3 of them were really close and just barely edging each other out.
Callan, you guys train together in the off season? Coach is not around. You 3 and some other teammates get together and run?
I wasn't able to, unfortunately. I worked in Texas this summer, so pretty much all my training was on my own, which makes it really difficult. I know some of the guys back here were able to train together, but if you're going to be good at cross country, a lot of it's got to be just your own mental game and staying strong in your training. So some of the guys were able to train together. I myself wasn't, but still got in good miles, and very nice to be back and running with these guys. It's a lot harder to run on your own out there in the summer.
You know, I'm curious, guys. I mean, you were here. What was that morning like? You just text all your teammates and say, hey, we're doing 20 today?
Not quite 20, but I stayed down here, but I was working in the morning, so I spent a lot of time on the treadmill in the HPC, but then sometimes we have a group chat, so if somebody was going for a run kind of late at night, because you either have to go super early in the morning or super late at night, and we'd get together and run a couple miles, just depending on how many each of us needed and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
What are you most excited about this fall? Is there something on the schedule, or is it this group of guys, or what makes your excitement level up here?
I'd say probably to see how well the newcomers do. Like Coach said, they are pretty solid newcomers. We got a couple transfers, and then a true freshman coming in. So see those guys, see how well they do and stuff like that. I'm probably most excited to see that. And then, yeah, just to see how well these guys do in the next coming weeks and stuff, getting ready for UVU. So, yeah.
Brian, it's kind of an individual sport, right? You're running for your own time, but it sounds like you guys got a lot of good team chemistry. Talk about the team element involved in cross country.
Oh yeah, I think cross country is totally a team sport, even though it's individual scores. I think the team culture of how you guys all work out together, you bring each other up, I think that plays into how good a team does so well. It's just that X factor that you can't count on, you know?
What's the most exciting thing about running cross country here at DSU?
You know, for me, I ran in high school on a team where we didn't really have a coach. Me and one of my teammates designed all the workouts. We didn't have a trainer, we didn't have a track. It was small, and I had a lot of fun and I had some success, but to come to a place where we have a great coach and Coach Decker, along with Ross, his dad is one of our assistant coaches, he's awesome, and a couple other assistant coaches, to run with a group of guys that really push you every day. It's really exciting for me to see the ability for me to grow and for these guys to grow, working together we got great new facilities here. The new training room's awesome. We have a whole staff here supporting us. So to have that structure to help push you to be better is just such an exciting thing. Propels us as a team to achieve much greater accomplishments than you would do if you're just running on your own 5Ks on the street here and there.
Coach, how much do you like the guys to train outside versus, on the treadmill or in the new training sports medicine center that just barely opened not too long ago?
Yeah, I mean, to me, running's running. So, like, especially in the summer when you're battling the heat, like if they have to run on the treadmill, you know, as long as you are actually running and getting in those miles, like, obviously, like you don't want to do 100% of your running on the treadmill. Like in our season, cross country especially, like all of our races. Or most of our races are typically on grass courses like golf courses or big grass parks. So a lot of our speed workouts in the fall in the cross country season, we'll go find a grass park or something to do some speed on to prepare for that surface. But really, it's just, you just get used to running everywhere, whether it's on the streets, on the trails, hiking trails, bike trails, grass. You gotta be ready to run anywhere. And then, yeah, track season in the spring, you know, a little bit more on the track because that's where you're racing, but anywhere and everywhere, just as long as you're getting the miles.
Kevin, do you feel like there's a rival for the Blazers in cross country? Is there a team where they show up and you show up and you're pretty excited to try to beat them?
Since we just moved to the WAC, I don't know like if we have like any set rivals. I know a lot of these guys want to beat UVU. That's kind of their goal because it's the in-state rivalry and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, we're still pretty new to the WAC, so like we haven't really had that kind of rivalry with anybody. I know in D2 it was Westminster. We always wanted to beat Westminster. Right. That was our rivalry. So,
Callan, you kind of chuckled when he said UVU.
Like, UVU is one of the best teams in the conference and really a competitive team in the nation. They sent a couple people to the national championship last year. But when you're running in this region, the mountain region is the most competitive place to run cross country. So I'd love to beat UVU someday. Right now they're pretty far out there, but our team's improving a lot. We'll work on closing that gap.
Brian, talk more about some of your teammates that are not here and their progression and where you see them fitting in the mix this fall.
There's a lot of guys that, for whatever reason, didn't get off to like a great start last season, whether it be like getting home from a mission or like a big injury. And I think a lot of guys this year having like a really set schedule, because last year we had to run cross country in like the winter, which has never happened like ever. But this year, with a lot of guys that have like that set calendar, I think it's going to be really interesting to see. Like they may have been closer to like 6 or 7 last year, but they could be like 3 or 4, even top 2 this year, and that would be so awesome.
Coach, what are your expectations? It seemed like a really confident group, a group that's working hard. What would be optimal? Do you think you can contend right up to the best teams in the WAC this season, surprise some people?
Yeah, the hard thing this year is, you know, those new schools in the conference this year are schools that we've never raced against before.
Sure.
They're down in Texas where all these Utah schools and these schools in our region we race against throughout the year, both fall and spring, so we're pretty familiar with them and how good they are. But these Texas schools, it's kind of a whole new thing where even the couple that were in the WAC last year, and we did race against the WAC championship, that was such a weird year. You know, it's hard to know, like, were they 100%? Did they have COVID cases? Like, what's going on with their team in the middle of all the COVID? So last year was kind of a little bit hard judgment than the new teams. So, yeah, it's going to be learning a lot this year as we go and start to compete against those Texas schools. And these other schools in the WAC, and now that we're back to a normal season. But yeah, with the group I have, like I said, I'm fairly confident this is the best team we've ever had, and whatever the probably 15-year now history of Dixie State cross country, I could confidently say that this is the best group, especially for the men, that we've ever had. So yeah, I'm excited about their potential and goals, top 5 in the conference. But again, till we get there and see, you know, it's kind of hard to tell for now.
September 3rd, first race, Utah Valley. September 11th, BYU. Then it's up to Cedar Ridge Golf Course. T-Birds will probably be running in that one, won't they?
Oh yeah, they're the hosts.
That should be fun. We didn't talk about that rivalry. That'll fire up a little bit more next year, right?
So, you know, what he was talking about with Utah Valley, it's kind of the same thing with SUU's cross country. You know, that's probably one of their best sport. Every year, I think their men are ranked top 25 in the nation. So, you know, there's a little bit of gap that we got to catch up to, but, you know, it's exciting to have that rivalry in the conference starting next year where we'll be trying to catch up to their level, because if we're at that level competing with them, it means we'll be a nationally relevant program too. So that's kind of the goal.
Then the 16th, UC Riverside, that's the big one. A lot of teams will be at that one. And then the one that everybody cares the most about, the 2021 WAC Cross Country Championships. It'll be down in Riverside, California, October 30th. Guys, best of luck. Appreciate you stopping by. Coach, go have some fun and go surprise some folks. And let's get some good times this year and maybe set some records along the way. That's our men's cross country preview as well as the women's preview. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.